Hey everyone, happy Monday. This is Tammy from Top Shelf Physique. Just want to jump on here and see how you guys are doing. I'm getting ready to run into Publix, grab some spaghetti squash. That's going to be my dinner. So I will give you guys a little video tutorial of how I actually make it and what I do with it. So I hope you guys are having a great day. All right, everybody, I'm back from Publix and this is what's going to go in my dinner. So I have spaghetti squash and I have Classico marinara. It's the tomato and basil. So this one's really good. It's half a cup, which is 125 grams, only 50 calories. This one's light. And then lean ground beef from Publix. This has, it's 93.7. That's the breakdown. And then also I had this cheese. This one is fancy shredded. It's low moisture part skim. I typically use the Kraft fat-free shredded cheese mozzarella, but Publix was out of it, so I went for this. This has 80 calories for 28 grams. The one I usually use, I think it's like, for the same serving size, 28 grams, it's like 45 calories, which is a huge difference, but I am going to adjust my recipe in my MyFitnessPal and account for the macros accordingly. All right, I'll show you how it's done. All right, so now this is the spaghetti squash. I'm gonna take it and cut it in half, and then I'm gonna clean the inside of it, get all the seeds out. So this part I don't like, but what I typically do is throw it in the microwave for a couple minutes. I'll put it on like 2 minutes on one side, and then I flip it over and do 2 minutes on the other side, because it will actually make it a little bit easier to cut it. It's not the smoothest cut, but whatever. But the seeds, I'm gonna clean out everything in there. Just take a spoon, scoop it all out. So I clean out all the seeds and everything, and then that's what I'm left with. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna use pan spray on the inside and outside, and I'm gonna put salt and pepper on top of it. And I have the parchment paper lined on my pan, and I'm just gonna put it face down, salt, pepper, very simple, throw it in the oven. I have the oven preheating to 400, and I usually leave it in there for about 45 minutes, but you can see how tender you like it. Some people like their spaghetti squash a little crunchy, softer, whatever. So you could typically tell when it's in the oven, if you squeeze the outside and it's really soft, you'll know it's ready to go. I'm gonna use the pan spray, salt and pepper.
Mommy, how do you so big?
Sound it out.
But it good.
And actually I'm gonna use a little garlic powder on it too. And sprinkle the inside. Some pepper. Face down. One side up. Outside. A little more cooking spray, and it's gonna go in the oven looking like this. While that's cooking, I'm gonna prepare, I'll do the ground beef, which I just brown it in the skillet, chop it up, and I typically use Italian seasoning, salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder. Use whatever you want, basil, anything, but all the stuff I use is no calories. All right, so I just drained off any extra fat, juices, or whatever. And then I'm just gonna add the whole jar of marinara sauce, and I just mix it all together. So there it is, ready to go, and I'll set this aside until my spaghetti squash is done. All right, so spaghetti squash is done. Just like I said, if you smush it, you can see that it's nice and soft on the outside. And what I'm gonna do is flip them over and get a fork and then just scrape all the insides out. And just do it until you get to the skin. See, it'll just shred right up. It actually, if you've never cooked with spaghetti squash, it actually looks like spaghetti. I'll pick up, see? It's like a string. All right, so the spaghetti squash has been scraped and everything. So now what I do is I will actually, this is my pan, and now I'm gonna start putting it together. So I will put this on my scale, zero it out. If your scale's not big enough to do that, just put it on a plate, another container, just to see how much you have for your recipe. So I'm gonna switch it to grams. So that's on grams. Let me just dump this in. This one. There's still some left behind, so I'm just gonna continue to get the rest of that out. On the scale, on the spaghetti squash, I have 620 grams of spaghetti squash. So that's all cleaned out. And then I just spread this out as evenly as possible on the bottom of the pan, because now I'm just layering the spaghetti squash, the meat and sauce combination, and then I'm gonna put the mozzarella cheese on top. And that's what the spaghetti squash looks like. Smash that down. Again, it's not gonna be perfect, but it is, that's what it looks like. And this is the meat and the sauce. I'm just gonna pour that over all that. And spread this out evenly. This, when I do it, I have is 6 servings, and it is actually pretty filling. So I do the same thing. I spread the meat sauce evenly over it because I want each portion to be as even as possible. All right, that's done. And last but not least, my hands are messy. Let's do this. Let's do this. That's my cheese. And I'm just gonna sprinkle this over as evenly as possible. So this is what the finished product looks like once you get it's the spaghetti squash, then you have the meat and the sauce, and then you have the mozzarella cheese. And what I do is I cover it with foil and I bake it for about, I'd say about 15-20 minutes until the cheese is all melted. And that's it. And I'll see the finished product here in a little bit. All right, so here's the finished spaghetti squash pasta, whatever you want to call this dish. We always call it baked pasta, even though it's not, but here it is. So now what I end up doing is, this is 6 servings. So I will divide this evenly as possible into those 6 servings. And what I do is I cut down the middle with the spatula and then divide it equally as possible with 6 squares. And then I take my flat container and I zero it out on the scale. And I use grams on this one. And then what I'll do is I'll weigh each individual portion and do it that way. This is our dinner tonight. 2 of these servings will be eaten by myself and my husband. So the other 4 we will save and we'll be able to eat them throughout the week. They're good leftover. He'll take them to work. We'll eat them again for dinner tomorrow, whatever. So let's see. This one is $2.72. And then I'm just gonna go through that. And you can see I let it cool for about 20 minutes and it comes out a lot easier, stays together. So just gonna go through these. This will be our dinner, and then what we did, yes, Publix sourdough French bread. We do eat this. It's we do about 75 grams. We factor it in, but this is delicious with it. So we get our carbs from here, not the pasta. So that's our pasta night.